There's a whine from deep inside her. She doesn't want to let him go. Little Johnny is so sweet and cute, and she gives herself a chop across the muzzle with her free paw. Not only is Johnny going to the family that adores him, but to his birth mother and father as well. Some random pirate pretending to be a good person isn't going to cut it for a growing boy. The final door opens, and there's a flurry of movement as the entire pack all but pounces on her and Johnny. Johnny is swept away, and she has to resist taking a chunk out of someone as the tiny child on the mend is swept into a world of concerned nuzzles, kisses, and reassurances. There's a faint and soft voice that asks for calm, and things settle down in a hurry. Johnny is now lying on the back of a full-grown Lopen man who walks up to Agenda on soft pads without the telltale click of claws. He's impeccably groomed and almost artistically attractive. If the man was on a poster, she'd expect that he had been photoshopped to look that pretty.
I would like to thank you for helping my zone in this trying time,
He says slowly, and Agenda blinks in confusion.
Why are you faking a Meccan-Reach accent?
Agenda asks, and he looks offended.
What? Mine accent is not faked. He was risen from puphood within the glorious reach.
He protests.
And I was born in cruel space. That doesn't mean I have to mangle galactic trade through being sloppy.
Miles says, leaning into view.
Afternoon.
He says to the stunned group.
What? A threat from the death zone?
The Loper man says, and Miles snorts.
Human. Our first ambassador to the Federation of Systems is en route.
And you are?
Commander Miles Brent. I'm attached to the EFL Tiger as both a crew member and liaison to the Dauntless. You're Mr. Howell?
Gruber. Gruber Howell.
Gruber says, and Miles nods.
So, Umanya? What kind of race are you?
BMO 100 to 100. Only one like us.
He says, and Agenda sighs.
Oh, right, sorry.
He says at the stunned look of the crowd, he then leans out of sight.
Mine loves, comfort our zone. I must speak this man.
Gruber says before gently picking up Johnny.
My zone, say your goodbyes to Ms. Lilpaw. We are going home after this, ya?
Yes, father.
Johnny says as he's slowly lowered to the ground.
You've a talk between men, ya?
Gruber asks, stepping out of the room and looking straight at Miles.
Sure. You all right with this?
Miles responds before glancing up towards Agenda.
Yes, go have your chat. I'll be fine.
Agenda assures him. Gruber gestures for Miles to follow as Agenda walks into the room with his wives. He leads Miles some steps away where they can't be heard casually by those in the room.
So? A new Zebzi is?
Gruber asks, his accent getting thick enough to serve as armor plating.
Human. Our diplomatic ship is apparently taking a detour to get around some arrangement systems. Too many men aboard for it to be anything but a massive time sink.
If you's being honest about the amount of men there are compared to Voman Zenzat is most understandable. But that is concern for later. My Zon, he...
Gruber pauses before swallowing and speaking slowly to clear away his accent.
What have you done to him? He carries himself with too much grace for one who has been through horror.
Myself and the other men put things into perspective for him and told him about his choices.
Choices?
Be crushed under the pain of that day, or stand on it and rise above it. Granted, it took all of us trying to explain it about 5 different ways each for it to actually make sense to him. There's a lot of cultural drift.
I can imagine. The beast, that creature that killed my wives. Is it dead?
Gruber asks, and Miles gives a vicious smile.
Did it suffer?
We chained it up, dragged it into the ship and cut it up for parts, cooked it and ate it. Your son had a plateful himself, as did every crew member that can stomach meat.
Is there any left?
Gruber asks with a distant look of hate.
Sorry, my kind has a heavy poison resistance. We're marinating the remaining meat. The amounts we put on them have a shot of killing you from smell alone.
What was it? The message stated that it was an animal, but the word murder was used.
Apparently flame spewers are thinking beings. I say that they taste good with, what's it called, galactic trade? Ah, yes. Ground pain kernels and sodium chloride.
You do realize that bars of them are used in torture, yes?
Gruber asks, and Miles raises an eyebrow.
I know they could theoretically be used in torture mostly because if you get them in a cut, it hurts. But I usually just eat the stuff. It's used to make food taste better.
Miles says, and Gruber nods at the babbling, positive things are fine.
The question is, how do you know that pepper and salt can be used in torture? Seems like some awfully specific knowledge.
Oh, nine, I did not know, I merely assumed.
Of course.
Miles says as he checks the small computer on his wrist. Axiom Tech was something he was really starting to appreciate.
By the by, how did the sale go?
Zale? What Zale?
Gruber asks, clearly on the defensive.
I'm a sniper, a type of military assassin. I work with a crew of mercenaries. My fellows are saboteurs and trained brutes. You availed yourself of the black market, and I honestly don't care. I'm just trying to make conversation while the girls fuss over your son.
Then all I will say is that, when you have a great deal of things that have not been gained in ways others approve, then they must be sold in ways they won't see.
I understand. Much of the things I use so my meals don't bore me to tears are less than approved of by paper pushers.
That makes sense.
Which means you can brag if you want. You chose a good spot so no one can listen in.
He needed to know if he had the option of shooting you if needed.
It goes both ways.
RIT Industries plasma pistol.
Beretta 9mm, hollow point bullets.
Is that kinetic?
Yep.
Interesting. You want be bringing this up with the wives?
All men need a hobby.
Yes, we do. Mine is to be part of a gentleman's club. We enrich our lives vit. More daring means zen most.
I understand. I'm afraid I can't match it, though. Due to my species being so new on the scene, I feel like I'm living in sin just keeping my little part of the ship happy.
Really?
Yeah, I've had one or two girlfriend before shipping out to the stars, but the one that didn't cheat went stalker on me. Now I'm dealing with dozens of gorgeous women who can't get enough of the miles.
The simple things in life are often unappreciated, without context.
Just remember to balance your enrichment against what you already have. Dozens of loving ladies and at least one adorable son.
Many daughters as well. In that light ye am truly blessed.
Gruber says before slowly standing up and leaning against the wall next to Miles, towering over the human like a giant.
So, what's it? Like lifing without woman effervre?
It can be pretty lonely. If you're hurt, you have to suck it up. If you have a problem, you have to solve it. Asking for help can be seen as a weakness, and being soft just gets you laughed at. I don't know if it's better outside cruel space, though. It's a gentler life, it looks like, but that sort of thing doesn't let a man face adversity and grow. It's probably not so bad on the EFL Tiger. Those women are mercenaries after all, but still I'm being coddled.
That is the problem when the galaxy values you more than you do. They place limits upon things. Whether or not those limits are in your way matters little. They are still there.
Still, moping never gets anything done. Got any tips or tricks for getting around it?
Of course, mine friend. It can be most easy. You need to simply play through their expectations, like affecting a thicker accent than usual, or pretending that your gang is just a club of friends. Knowing where the less than legitimate businesses are also helps.
Gruber says with a huge smile full of gleaming dagger-like teeth. Miles matches it.
Play the system. Got it. It seems to be the general attitude the Admiral has anyways.
Sounds like a smart man. Perhaps the political scene will be more than just a gigantic waste of tax credits and time now. I'll have to pay some more attention. Any advice?
Yeah, there is one concern. One of the products we've already started selling is a candy called chocolate. A lot of beings can eat it, but it's poisonous to canines on our homeworld. Be careful.
Noted. As for advice of my own, I suggest learning at least a small amount of the axiom arts. A small amount of physical enhancement can work wonders when properly timed.
Shit.
Miles groans as he hangs his head.
Story now.
Gruber orders with a smile.
One of my fellows is obsessed with Axiom, and he's already insane enough without being told he's right. What are the styles in its use? I've lived my life all but swimming in null.
Miles asks fishing a little bit to see how much of Franklin's rambling is accurate.
There are two styles, the weaving and the wielding. The wielding is what I recommend. It allows the conjuring of weapons at higher levels of discipline and can increase your physical capacity. The weaving, however, can be massively potent but difficult to control.
Just 2 ways?
Technically, nearly all technology use is some form of axiom use, but technically correct only really matters to those proving a pedantic point and paperwork.
Good to know. Also, if you'd happen to be in the mood to tell me how hard or easy it is to pull off some less than legal extracurricular activities, I'd be deeply appreciative.
Of course!
He almost cheers before leaning out and glancing down the hallways before smiling widely.
First, you need a loyal crew of gents.
The explanation is cut off by a roar and the sounds of something being slammed into something metallic.
I know one of you guys is involved with that. What's going on?
Miles demands into his wrist computer.
Land Dragon slipped a chain down here. Victor suplexed it.
Marcus answers in a stunned tone.
He what?
Miles demands, positive he misheard that.
The Russian gave a dragon a German suplex.
Marcus says slowly.
What is a German suplex?
Gruber asks.
Do you have it on video?
Miles asks, very much wanting to see something like that.
Hang on. I'll ask. Never mind.
He says as he gets an email from Ryu, it's entitled, I'll be adding effects later. The video plays as Gruber leans over him for a good look. There's an enormous wingless flame spewer chained beside the entrance to a bar with a sign denoting that troublemakers will be fed to Umbubu. Some idiot flaunts a hunk of meat they'd bought in front of the dragon beast, and Umbubu snaps for it and gets not only the meat but an arm as well. Its lunge snaps the chain, and sensing its freedom, the brutal being begins rushing towards the camera. Then a pale blur slams into it from the side with a deep bellow. The eyes of the monster grow comically large as it finds itself flung upwards and backwards until it's slammed into the floor. A comparatively smaller form can be seen holding it around the base of tail before letting go and letting out a cheer. The video shifts to show the scene from the side, the snapping chain, the blood, the scream, and then the pale man rushes to the side, dodges a flailing clawed foot and grabs it around the base of the tail before heaving himself and the beast backwards to slam it into the deck plating. Then it shows it from directly above. Miles turns the display off and slowly turns to look up at Gruber, who leans away to no longer crowd him.
Is your entire species insane?
He asks, and Miles opens his mouth to refute this before pausing and thinking. Then he shrugs.
Fantastic. I look forward to what your race brings to the galaxy.
Was that sarcasm?
Oh no, you must understand, Sir Brent. Life is dull outside of your cruel space. A man grows up and lives their life wanting nothing. There is no goal to strive for, nothing to prove to anyone, and no expectations upon you. A cage of velvet and gold, but a cage nonetheless. They call it male obsession when we chafe at these limits.
Gruber explains.
So I was much more on the nose than I thought when I said all men need a hobby.
Miles remarks.
You don't know the half of it.
Gruber confirms before glancing towards the room with the girls.
Excuse me, but we've spent too long away from the girls. They'll start to question if we're much longer. It's important to know where the limits are.
He says, lowering down to all fours and walking to the room, his thick accent back in place. Miles follows him in with a smile that's somewhat plastered on.